Unfortunately, I don't get to read all of your video suggestions these days, now that the channel has become so enormously popular and I'm such a huge celebrity, constantly tied up with attending red carpet events and mingling with world leaders rather than the peasantry with whom I used to rub shoulders, but I do still try to keep an eye out for as many of them as possible, whether that be in the comments when they receive a lot of likes, or when I spot the odd tweet that someone has sent me. Sometimes when I see a video suggestion, instantly, I know that it's an absolute gem. It's interesting, engaging, and I just know that a lot of people will watch it. Sometimes they are rubbish. I never say that to people because they mean well, and I appreciate all of the suggestions, but the 7 best left-backs in the Iron Brew, Haggis and Battered Mars Bar North Caledonian League is neither something that interests me, nor is it likely to be particularly popular with the masses. My apologies to any Bonner Bridge fans who might be watching this. And then you get suggestions that I know won't do very well, and therefore that my boss would really rather I didn't make, but that I find interesting, so I make them regardless. I know, thug life. Today's video is one of those, and it comes courtesy of Wolf Mauler, who I had an extra incentive to appease as he noticed my totally unnecessary Tottenham slander just a few days ago. So I've spent a fair few hours trying to assemble the strongest possible 11, made up only of current players to have won between 1 and 7 caps within the senior men's game. Not uncapped, I've already done that, and that was much too easy, but precisely between 1 and 7 caps at the time of this recording because, why not? I'll do a bench and some honourable mentions at the end, and that way you can all tell me where I went wrong and why I am such an idiot. Here we go then. Goalkeeper, Mike Mannion. It goes without saying that goalkeepers tend to be rotated less than outfield players, and that means that once someone has nailed down the number 1 shirt, it can be very difficult for anyone else to get a look in. That meant that there was a real plethora of outstanding goalkeepers that I had to choose from, with as much strength and depth as anywhere else in this 11. Subscribers to the channel will know all too well about my appreciation of Nick Pope, so it hurts I leave him out, but I couldn't overlook Mike Mannion. Absolutely outstanding at Lille last season, as the club beat PSG to the Ligue 1 title, Mannion was part of Lille's mass exodus following that success, which has left them mired in mid-table this season. A really safe pair of hands with terrific reflexes, Mannion joined AC Milan over the summer as Gianluigi Donnarumma's replacement. And the highest compliment that I can pay him is to say that Donnarumma has not been all that sorely missed at the San Siro. That is a mark of Mannion's talents, but he has so far won only 1 cap for France. Hugo Laurisse is still the world champions number 1 and national team captain, currently on 136 caps. But aged 26, Mannion's time will come so long as he can avoid being leapfrogged in Les Bleus' pecking order by either Ilan Melier or Alban Lafont. Right back, Ricardo Pereira. I know he has been out injured for a long time and many people might have forgotten about him a little bit, albeit certainly not any Leicester City fans, but I still think Ricardo Pereira is one of the best right backs in the world when he is fully fit. So the fact that he has only won 7 caps for Portugal is pretty remarkable. Having said that, Portugal suffer from a similar problem to England in as much as they have an abundance of talent at right back. Admittedly, there are worse problems to have. Pereira faces competition from the likes of João Cancelo, Nelson Semedo, Cedric Suarez, and even Diego Dalot. But when all are fully fit, I think Cancelo is the only superior player to him there. Pereira has bags of pace and a fantastic engine. He is fierce in the tackle and a menace bombing forward due to his technique and intelligent runs. But aged 28, he returned after over 300 days out injured earlier this season, only to be sidelined once again, this time due to an injury to his hamstring. Centre-back, Jules Kunday. I know that it must have been a while since I've mentioned Jules Kunday on this channel, seeing as though people have finally stopped tagging me on every Twitter and Instagram post that he's mentioned in, after I waxed lyrical about the Frenchman a number of times in my videos. You can take from his inclusion in this 11 though that I haven't changed my mind regarding his talent or potential. He just hasn't cropped up in any recent videos for whatever reason. I was surprised that Sevilla managed to keep hold of Kunday last summer amid plenty of interest, off the back of a mightily impressive season both domestically and in Europe. Kunday has everything that you could possibly ask for in a modern-day centre-back, aside from the fact that he is a little shorter than most at 5'10", but that rarely seems to hurt him in aerial duels. He has won exactly 7 caps for France to date, who have a ridiculous number of brilliant centre-backs, including the likes of Raphael Varane, Kurt Zouma, Dayot Upamecano, Presnel Kimpembe, Lucas Hernandez, and about 57 others. Centre-back. Dayot Upamecano. Speaking of the devil, France's extraordinary depth at centre-back means that we have ended up with an all-French centre-back pairing, and 3/4 of the team is French at this early stage. No other nation's depth comes close at this moment in time. I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I do still believe that Jules Kunday is a superior centre-back and all-round footballer to Dayot Upamecano. But it must be said that the Bayern man has looked more impressive than Kunday when he has been called up by France. Ultimately, though, both will win far more than 7 caps for Les Bleus. Upamecano is currently on 6, half of which he won in 2021. And he is enjoying an impressive debut campaign in Bavaria so far this season. Left back. Sergio Reguilon. It was a really tough decision at left back between former Real Madrid fullback Sergio Reguilon and current Real Madrid fullback Ferland Mendy. But unlike Real Madrid, I have edged towards the Spaniard. It must be said that I think both are brilliant. Mendy is undoubtedly one of the best fullbacks in the world, and he is quite possibly better than Reguilon. But I do think it is a close call, and Reguilon made more sense in terms of the balance of my team. To put it far too simplistically, Mendy is better defensively, but Reguilon is better going forward. And with a couple of sitters in my midfield and Ricardo Pereira on the opposite side, that gave the Tottenham man the edge. Having just turned 25, Reguilon is another man who finds himself with stiff competition at international level. Having just turned 25, Reguilon is another man who finds himself with stiff competition at international level, vying for a starting berth up against the likes of Jordi Alba, Jose Gaya, and Juan Bernat. To date, he has won 6 caps, meanwhile Mendy has won 7. Defensive midfield. Julian Weigel. Following 5 years at Borussia Dortmund, where he played plenty of football but was never truly a star man, Julian Weigel joined Benfica in 2020. He is certainly a star man now, having been outstanding ever since his move to Portugal. Among the most consistent players in European football, Hafer is arguably the only man who is more important to Benfica than the German, as was pretty well illustrated by his recent spell on the sidelines when Sahuliyo Miete failed to provide the same kind of solidity, composure, and range of passing from the Benfica midfield. Aged 26, Weigel has been capped 5 times by Germany to date, battling with the likes of Joshua Kimmich, Ilkay Gundogan, Toni Kroos, and Leon Goretzka to start games for the 4-time world champions in the middle of the park. Holding midfield. Dani Parejo. Julian Weigel was a pretty safe bet to start in my 11, given his form at Benfica and the presence that he brings to a team, but deciding a more creative midfielder to partner him was a much tougher decision. Spain have long had, for the last decade plus, an abundance of talent in central midfield, and whilst they are no longer quite such a dominant force on the international stage, they retain that same depth in the middle of the park. At the age of 32, Dani Parejo would be approaching 100 caps for most countries by now, and would have eclipsed half a century a number of years ago for all but a handful of nations. For Spain, however, the Villarreal star has won a measly 4 caps, none of which have even come at major tournaments. For one of the most creative and dependable midfield playmakers on the planet, that is quite something. But then again, Spain do have the likes of Rodri, Thiago, Sergio Busquets, Pedri and Koke at their disposal. Right wing. Rafinha. A revelation ever since arriving at Leeds United, following the club's promotion to the Premier League, Brazilian wideman Rafinha won his first cap for the Seleção just a few months ago. Despite Leeds' struggles this season, as they battle against Premier League relegation, currently struggling with a pretty severe injury crisis, Rafinha has already scored more goals in 14 games for the club this season than he did in 31 games in all of the previous campaign. It's form that has led many to suspect that Rafinha might not be at Ellen Road much longer, especially with rumours of firm interest from Liverpool, but wherever the 24-year-old is playing his club football, it seems likely that he will be a regular in Chiche's Brazil squads for the foreseeable future. tremendously gifted and a real live wire, scaring fullbacks half to death through his ability to beat them both left and right. If Raphinha doesn't go on to win at least 30 caps, I would be pretty surprised. For now though, he has only won 5, so he makes my 11. Attacking midfield, Florian Wirtz. Bringing a bit more German invention and ingenuity to this 11, Hansi Flick's side are incredibly well serviced in attacking midfield, and that has been to Florian Wirtz's detriment in some respects. Having said that, he is still only 18 years old, so the mere fact that he has won 4 caps for one of the best national teams in the world in one of their strongest positions speaks volumes. A graduate, actually, of the Cologne Academy, who was signed by Bayer Leverkusen for peanuts in January 2020 after impressing for Germany at youth team level, he soon broke Kai Havertz's record as Leverkusen's youngest ever Bundesliga player. Havertz looked to be a generational talent at the Bay Arena, but I don't think that it would be unreasonable to suggest now that Wirtz's potential is even greater than the 2021 Champions League winners. Wirtz doesn't turn 19 until the end of this season, but he is already comfortably among the best players in the Bundesliga. Gifted, driven, and incredibly mature in terms of his decision-making in the final third, Wirtz has 13 goal contributions from only 12 starts for Leverkusen in the Bundesliga this season. Not only will he breeze through the 7-cap barrier within months of this video, he could well become one of Germany's most capped players of all time, but for now, he is eligible, and he is therefore a nailed-on starter in my 11. Left wing, Iker Muniain. I must admit, and I suppose this will come as little surprise seeing as though I assembled it, but even more than usual, I really like the look of my forward line and this entire team, if I'm honest. In Raphinha, Florian Wirtz and Iker Muniain, we have 3 incredibly creative, gifted and dangerous players who are not just fantastic footballers but are all in the form of their lives at this moment in time. Iker Muniain seems to have been around forever now, despite the fact that he only just turned 29, and I remember him being one of the best players in the world on either Football Manager 2008 or 2009. I'm sure someone in the comments will clarify me on that. He hasn't quite managed that, but he is rapidly closing in on 500 appearances for his boyhood club Athletic Bilbao, and he has certainly been among the best players in La Liga this season. So gifted and skillful, Muniain seems almost impossible to dispossess at times, and Karim Benzema and Vinicius Jr. are the only La Liga players to have won more Man of the Match awards than him so far this season. Unlike most players in this 11 though, it is certainly possible, and even quite plausible I would suggest, that Muniain may never win more than 7 caps for Spain. He is currently stuck on just 2, the first of which came all the way back in 2012, and the most recent of which arrived in 2019. Not only does he have fierce competition in attacking midfield and on the left flank for Spain, much of that competition, such as fellow Basque native Mikel Oyarzabal, are much younger than him. False 9. Anzu Fatty. Speaking of reasons why Iker Muniain may never win more than 7 caps for Spain, Anzu Fatty is Spain's brightest young star. And yes, I am including the likes of Pedri and Gavi in that. Fatty is an absolute sensation, and were it not for a horrible year of injuries that have seen him play very little football since November 2020, he would be being talked about as a future Ballon d'Or winner by virtually everyone. Seemingly at his happiest playing on the left flank, Fatty has also proven himself to be more than capable of playing in a more central position, and that is where he starts in this 11 because I couldn't leave Iker Muniain out. Age 19, Fatty has won 4 caps for date, but if he doesn't go on to win at least 100 caps for Spain, something will have gone badly wrong. He is a key part of why Barcelona are in such a strange predicament right now. A shambles on the pitch and an omnishambles off it, whilst Barca are laden with debt and below Rayo Vallecano in the La Liga table, they also have a raft of supremely talented young players. As I said, I think Fatty is the best of the bunch. Quick, deadly, and incredibly gifted. So he's my main man up top though. In truth, I would be more than happy for him to drift around and pick up whatever pockets of space that he likes as Muniain, Wirtz and Raphinha run beyond him. And no, for the last time before someone says it in the comments, I don't overthink these fantasy 11s at all. This is a totally normal thing to spend your time doing and to call a job. On my fictional 7-man bench, we have got Brazil's third-choice goalkeeper Weverton, who is in the unfortunate position of having not just Alisson, but also Edison for competition, England's Fikayo Tomori, French fullback Ferland Mendy, twice-capped Spanish international Ander Herrera, his once-capped compatriot Luis Alberto, and England duo Callum Hudson-Odoi and Mason Greenwood. Honourable mentions go to the likes of Nick Pope, Alex Meret, Sergio Asenjo, Johnny, Raul Araujo, Felipe, Davide Calabria, Sandro Tonali, Danny Ings, James Maddison, and many others. I have no doubt that you would make plenty of alterations from the players that I've just mentioned to my starting 11, and perhaps even some who I have not. Hopefully though, players who have won between 1 and 7 caps for their countries, otherwise you have completely misunderstood the premise of the video and must be raging about the absence of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Because I like to go all out with these videos, I've also assembled a management team, and I say a team because I couldn't pick between the two of them, so like Liverpool with Roy Evans and Gerard Houllier, I decided to appoint joint managers. They are Inter Milan boss Simone Inzaghi, who won 3 caps for Italy between 2000 and 2003, and former Barcelona boss Ernesto Valverde, who won just 1 cap for Spain back in 1990. So that is it for today's video, but thank you all from the bottom of my heart for watching. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed today's video. Hit the like button if that was the case, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure that you are subscribed this festive season and have notifications turned on for the greatest YouTube channel that has ever existed. If I need to clarify, I mean mine, HITC Sevens. You can also find me on Twitter or on Instagram by the username @HITC Sevens on both, should you wish to do so.